Now, before I get into to this actual assessment, diagram that I was doing today, I just wanted to show this diagram, which basically says that there's three phases of a sunrise or sunset. There's the civil twilight, which is basically where you roughly see a very large amount of light after basically the sun is set or the sun is just about to rise. It's quite bright, but you just don't quite see the sun. The nautical twilight is where basically it sort of feels like nighttime, but you've got a bit of a haze where there's a bit of a flood of orange coming along. And the astronomical twilight is basically where you're not getting any orange at all, but it just feels that little bit lighter than nighttime. So yeah, there's absolutely no orange haze, and it just generally feels a little bit light. So this is the video which I had to look at, and it seemed pretty clear to me, but some people don't seem to think it's very convincing at all. So let me show you the video, and I'll show you what I think. Okay, so for starters, you can see that this twilight, there's no sun, right? The sun's gone. And up above, at the very, very top, you can see it's basically a blue night sky. So it's already it's already starting to get towards nighttime, and the orange haze is off in the distance. So that basically means, we're into the sort of the civil twilight to nautical twilight sort of zones. So there's no sun. We are certainly behind the Earth right now. We're not facing day. That's for starters. And then it flips across to the other side. Let me get to there. And as you can see, the moon is within sight, and it's got that orange haze to it. So it's catching the light that moon is catching is that orange haze that's over here. So as you can see, this orange haze is what's peeling around the Earth and smacking into the moon. And I mean, as you can see, we're looking at the right hand side window, and on the left, we're looking out the left hand side window, this side. So to me, it's quite obvious that the views are 180 degrees opposite to each other, and so this is where let's get cracking into the diagram. Okay, this is just a quick rundown of this diagram that I've shown, where I have created to scale the distance between the sun, the Earth, and the moon, and the way that the sun rays cast towards the Earth, and how they shoot past the Earth. So it's to scale. So at the moment, this entire length is 155 million kilometers in length. And over on the left here, we've got the sun, which is about 1.4 million kilometers in diameter. And we've got over here the Earth right here in the center, right there. So that's the Earth, and of course I've now shown 8 locations of the moon, which is basically all the locations where where sometimes it's a quarter moon or 3/4 moon, or like full moon, a new moon, and even like crescents and stuff like that. So that's basically the moon situation there. So obviously, as you can see here, the Earth being 12,000 kilometers in diameter, and I've shown an inner grey line here, which is the 80 kilometer mark for the mesosphere, and then I've got 700 kilometers out here for the thermosphere. And I put these angles 6 degrees, 12 degrees, and 18 degrees on this particular side. The reason why I put that on there is because the early twilight is in this first 6 degrees. There's a mid twilight inside the 12 degrees, and it really winds out at about 18 degrees. That's when it becomes full night. Looking over at this moon over here, what I've done here, so just to explain what's going on here, I've shown just 3 moons here, but we've got to explain what's going on here first. So this like sort of dark blue sort of line, which matches up with this, that is basically a funnel of light that is casting out, and this is the width of the sun. This is the exact same width of the sun, and so all that light is traveling in a direct straight line from the sun, and it's drawn to be passing by the very, very top cusp of the Earth. And so what that basically means is all the sun that wants to pass the Earth is going along at this funnel. Now this sandy coloured one, which is like a tan colour, that is basically the polar opposite of that. That's basically the width of the sun. All the light is passing down below. So as you can see, it's passing down below this mark. Now if I go out and zoom out, you'll see that obviously it's banding closer, and as you can see here, see how there's a little green marker there and a green marker there. Basically the width of the sun just beaming towards that particular part of the sun. Now, of course, we all tell everyone that the sun light rays are all parallel, and I mean that's true. But what's particularly happening here is when the light emits from the actual sun, it's going 360 degrees in all different directions. And so this particular band, I just picked the light that is shining in that particular angle, and then the light that's shining in this particular angle. And of course, naturally, there will be light which is going directly straight at the Earth, and that's going to be parallel. So if I was to draw that would be almost as if that would almost be as if this is their channel, like that. But I haven't bothered to draw that because that's not my objective right now. So these purple lines are what I've called like an edge. So if you can see, this one is tilting up, so it's basically parallel with this one to some degree. Let me just double check. Let me double check which foot it's going to come in from. See, they're both pointing towards the top corner. Yeah, it's winding out to the very, very top corner. So what that's supposed to represent is it's supposed to represent the sort of the overlap that you get. So while this particular light band is going out, there'll be a certain amount of light which will be sort of, if you shoot an angle from the opposite part of the sun, as in, let's have a look. What's the best way to describe this? It's difficult. It's a difficult way to describe. Okay, so we already saw the tan line shooting down, but this tan line is shooting up. And what it's actually doing is, so the light from the lower side of this particular sun, and it's shooting up to the lower side of this sun, and based at this Earth, sorry, it's shooting up. So it's lower to lower. And what that basically means is there is a certain amount of the lower part of the sun which will be sort of shining into that band, which is not covered by the one on the top hand side, because this side here, that is coming from the top. It's coming from the top of the sun, and it's hitting the bottom of the Earth. As you can see, it's hitting the bottom of the Earth. So you can see the dotted line is tracking through right here. So tracking through right here. So what that basically means is this slight angle basically allows for that little bit more light to continue to curl around the edge of the bottom of the Earth. So that encapsulates that. So what that basically means is that this particular area, while it has shade from the Earth, there's that little bit of extra peel of light which is bending around the Earth. It's not as much as if it was just getting it dead straight, but it has that little bit of extra light which is just peeling around. And in this particular instance, it's called the penumbra. And so this is where this particular moon, it's kind of getting light from the sun, but it's not getting full light. It's not getting a full splash of light. It's getting partial light. Whereas in the umbra, this particular one right here, this umbra can only be really achieved when the actual Earth completely covers the moon itself. So sometimes the moon can orbit on a particular, it orbits on a bit of an angle, and so sometimes it might pass high, sometimes it might pass low, but if it passes right in line with the actual Earth, then this is when it'll actually go through the actual umbra. And when it does go through the umbra, that basically is a lunar eclipse. So that's when the moon is completely blacked out by the sun. The sun completely wipes it out clean. Now, there's been some confusion I've heard on some of these spaces where people seem to think that when the 8 phases of the moon go around and we've got, half of it lit up and half of it not lit, they seem to think that that for some strange reason they seem to think the moon is glowing, which is wrong. It's not emitting its own light source. That's just dumb. That just doesn't make any sense. Because if one side's lit and the other side's dark, how on earth is it glowing with a dark side? That doesn't make any sense. You should just throw that idea straight in the bin, because that's ridiculous. So what's actually happening is, if you're seeing half the moon lit, right, so you're looking from this point of the Earth and you're looking directly up, you're looking directly to the side of where the sun is. And when you look straight up, you're going to see the moon right here with the lit side on the left, and the right hand side is dark. This should make plenty of sense. There's no light getting to the right hand side, but there's light getting to the left hand side. That should be pretty obvious. Now these ones, this particular one, which is up on a 45-degree angle, I forget what it's called, but that is basically the one where the dark side is only covering like a very small slip, and so basically you've got a bit of like an oval shaped moon. So like more than half of it is lit, and there's only a slip which is kind of disappeared. And of course the one on the opposite side, that's the crescent type of moon, where basically when you look at this from this particular direction, what you're seeing is just seeing mostly dark, and then you're only going to see like a C shape of actual light peeling around the left hand side. So I can put up an image of what all these things are and overlay that in a small break that I'll probably put in about now. So just so I get this right, to talk about the 8 phases of the moon, as you can see on this diagram, we'll start with the first one here, the new moon. The new moon is where we see the backside of the actual moon. It's facing us, and the sun is behind it, which basically means we're seeing the moon dark towards us. Now, as it curls around, the waxing crescent, basically we start to see the small slither of light on one particular face of the moon as it is facing us. And of course, once it's dead side onto us, perpendicular to us, the amount of sun that hits us, hits the moon, is exactly 50%. And then we also see a 50% which is dark. And as we go around to waxing gibbous, it's a bit of a funny name, but hey. So we see a majority of the light on the moon, and we only see a very, very small amount of dark. And that's because we're seeing this moon at the angle where we see the majority in sunlight. And of course the full moon, that's generally when it's roughly behind us. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's directly behind us, which would be a lunar eclipse, but basically it's roughly behind us and we are getting a fully lit side. And of course the waning gibbous and third quarter and the waning crescent is basically the same sort of stuff all round again. So the gibbous basically has a majority lit, the third quarter has half and half, and the waning has mostly dark and only a small amount of light. So I'll cut back. Now getting back to this, what I also did is I put the moon over this particular area here, and I even attempted some form of a solar eclipse. So I've got this here, this band. So I basically drew the lines from the sun, and I picked a spot. Let's have a look. So let's have a look. So as you can see, it's from the external sides there. And cross over. I think, where is it across? Must be across deep inside here. There it is, over there. See how the light crosses right there? They seem to cross, right there. So I probably should have drawn this a bit better, but I mean, it still generally shows the rough idea. I probably haven't got it quite right. But effectively, the this moon, when it's its dead center, it's casting this particular shadow, and you know it's in the center. I actually probably think I probably have drawn this one particularly wrong. It probably needs to actually funnel down in size rather than funnel out, because I think I might have put it on the wrong sides. But I mean, you get the general idea. That's the way a solar eclipse is supposed to work. Okay. What else is there to discuss? I don't think there really is anything more. The main point of this topic was the fact that there was this idea that I'll get the hatches back up again. There was this idea that that someone who was driving, they were driving when the sun had already set. The sun had gone, and all we could see was a haze, like a red haze up in the sky. And what that actually is basically you've passed this curve, and you're now basically in the night zone. So the day zone is on the it covers exactly 50% of the sun, and the night zone covers 50% of the sun, except that part of the night part is actually sunset or sunrise. And so the atmosphere above you, all the light will pass through the atmosphere, and it will hit multiple atoms, obviously, as it passes through the atmosphere, and that will turn it like an orange to purple haze, all that sort of stuff. And so if you're over here on the particular night side, you can look up and you can see the haze of the sunset or the sunrise above your head. And so that means that you can be in a position where you can see light, but you can also look behind you into the night sky off on the right. And this particular video that was posted was showing like basically a red moon, which is basically the moon far behind, because the light was shining on the front of the moon and it was shining in a red to orange manner. That's basically it getting partially blocked by the Earth, and that partial block was kind of creating a very sort of a red glow on the moon. But effectively the moon was on, in this particular video, the moon was on the right, the sun was on the left. It should be obvious. We're talking like, 180 degrees away, or like, 185 degrees away, or whatever like that. It was the polar opposite. The moon was on the right, the sun was on the left. It was simple. It was really, really easy to see. It should put it to bed, but some people just can't help themselves. They just have to look and complain and bitch and moan all the bloody day, all the day. But I mean, it should be damn obvious. So that's my explanation on that.